Back in 2015, early January, Taylor, you and I set out for an awesome bike tour to Key West from Orlando. The first day we rode down to Sarasota. It was our longest day, over 156 miles, and we got there just at dark, staying with Darren Dolling and feasting on a baked ziti, as I remember. And we just ate so much that day. Had a long day. Started out a little dreary, but not too bad. We had good weather the whole trip. Stopped by Bartow where you had your, I think it was Bartow, where you got your first podium from a bike race. And then after staying with Darren, we rode with him on the Legacy Trail, heading out of Sarasota as we went down to Pine Island to stay with Ben's grandparents. And we lost my clothes on the way. That bag fell off when we got to that bumpy area. But we had nice views. Rode along the coast a bit before hooking our way around near Fort Myers to go over to Pine Island. I remember staying there with Ben's grandparents. Are real nice, and I don't remember what we ate there, but it was a shorter day that day, so it was good. We had time for me to go back with his grandpa. Then we rode across the state the next day, probably the little bit sketchy part of the ride where it got pretty narrow on the road with cars passing close to us. I think we had a problem with the fender on the trailer then. Got up on this little bike trail that went along Lake Okeechobee, and then it got better there, but we couldn't ride that far. Eventually we made it into the western part of West Palm Beach area. Met Austin for dinner at a Thai restaurant, I remember. That was really good. Then after that, we headed down towards the Miami area, stayed on the west kind of suburb side. Not such good roads, a lot of traffic. I think we had to stop to get the spare tube at a bike shop. Had to find someone to speak English. We spent a lot of times hanging out at these places where we get extra food besides what we were carrying with us on the trailer. So a lot of shots there by us, by those buildings. But we eventually, oh man, it was a pretty long day because we went all the way down to Key Largo, which was pretty amazing that whole day there, though, that we made it all the way down across over to stay with Trevor's mom's place. And there was one little wrong turn we made, but we eventually made it to that nice house. It got dark, so we had to ride a bit in the dark, but we were just pushing it there. It's hard to get my heart rate, I remember, wasn't going up. Got to use their little golf cart to head over to the restaurant area. You lost your shoes, your sandals that day, so you had to borrow some big old shoes so we could go to the nice restaurant. Had a good meal there. Took off the next day to make it down through the Keys. Had a great breakfast, I remember, at just like a diner in Key Largo area. Then we trekked our way down across all the bridges and made it to our destination, or halfway of the trip, to Key West. Started out early in the morning from the top part of Key Largo, then going across the bridges as we made our way down. And not so much traffic. Just like on the whole tour, though, we had a few flats. Got the nail stuck in the tire there. But, it was really great weather for the most part. And although it was kind of a cold snap in Florida, we were in the warmest part of the state when it got the coldest. When we made it to the Keys, to Key West, it was maybe in the 40s in Orlando, but it was in the 60s still in Key West. We made it all the way there to the southernmost point, stood in line for the picture. Then we cruised over to find you some sandals at the Kino sandal place. So we ate pretty well there, stayed at a hotel for 2 nights, and then we just cruised around. We were really killing it on the Strava leaderboard overall by hitting all those miles. Just took a relaxing little short spin the one full day we had to Key West and checked out some of the sights. Enjoyed the atmosphere. It's really like nowhere else in Florida. A lot of a big Caribbean feel. There's cruise ships, so it was pretty crowded, but saw some of the sights like the lighthouse here, and just hung out and had a nice day exploring around, making sure we checked all out what we could see in Key West. Nice place, and got the fresh coconut, and then we used our strength, throw it against the curb to break it open so we could eat out the flesh part of the coconut. Found the key lime pie. And then I remember eating Thai food again that night after watching the sunset with the big crowd there. Then we were heading back up through the Keys again to head towards the Homestead, where we stayed at our first Airbnb on the way heading out of Key West. So we came across another cyclist, this Canadian guy, and he was pretty strong, but we were able to ride with him some. He had just like slept under a bridge or something. That's all he had with him. I don't know how far he had ridden, but he went down to Key West, slept under the bridge, but we followed him, made our way back over to the mainland, and then, like I said, went to Homestead, stayed in this Airbnb. I think we got some pizza, I don't know, pasta, some Italian food we ordered, pick up, carry out, brought that back and ate it, so that was decent. Then we worked our way up on the coast, this time past Miami, and it was pretty cool though. We came across this group ride, kind of jumped in and followed them, got in their draft, so that made us have a good pace there. And you for the most part, 80-90% were pulling the trailer, so doing much more work. Met this Swedish guy who gave us a tour and directed us how to get through Miami, because it's kind of complicated getting through the big city, but I think it must have been the weekend. It wasn't so bad traffic-wise, but we wanted to eat at this breakfast place, so we got awesome waffles in Miami Beach area, so ate there, and then rode our way up to West Palm Beach, where we stayed at the Warm Showers place, and T-Bone, I think that was his nickname, T-Bone's place, and he wanted to take us out to do some more touring that night, but man, we were pretty beat. So, but that was a good time meeting him and staying there. He had cooked us up some nice burritos and breakfast burritos in the morning, I think. I don't know, it was good food. From there, worked our way the rest of the way up the coast. It was much better once we got past the north of West Palm Beach, not as much stop and go as it was, and we just had a good day at the beginning because we were riding with Austin Veruzen for a little bit. Stopped, and I don't know where you got those sunglasses, but you got a new pair of shades, and so we got a little spend time with Austin, and I think I must have been pulling the trailer for that little bit there, gave you a little break. Coming up through Merritt Island area, Cocoa Beach area, came across Jimmy Woodard. He was out mowing his grass, so it was a chance meeting to see him. Just rode right by. Stayed with the Luthmans. Real nice to be able to stay with them. And then the final day, heading back to Orlando. We cut kind of across back up into the middle of the state, and really it was just overall spectacular tour. Had our share of flats, but not too many, just a few. And the rest of the equipment worked pretty well. Winds were fine. We were on the bikes. Man, we put in the miles. We put in like 1,796 kilometers, which is 1,113 miles, almost 1,114 miles. And our ride time was 62 and a half hours. So great base training for you, but awesome trip.